The UFC's planned White House card, conceived as a landmark spectacle to celebrate the sport on a national stage, is currently adrift in a sea of uncertainty, its grand vision colliding with the hard realities of fighter availability, momentum, and star power. As Sean O'Malley bluntly laid out in a moment of stark analysis, the pillars meant to hold up such a historic event are crumbling one by one. Jon Jones' return remains a myth, Ilia Topuria is dealing with personal matters, Alex Pereira has publicly declared himself out, and Conor McGregor is, as always, an unpredictable variable. Even Sean Strickland is reportedly refused to participate. What's left, as O'Malley framed it, is a promotional puzzle missing its most crucial pieces, an event in desperate need of a narrative that feels both massive and inevitable. Into this vacuum steps O'Malley himself, not with the bravado of a reigning champion, but with the calculated leverage of a star who understands the economics of attention. Acknowledging his own recent stumbles, 2 losses that have stalled his championship momentum, he nonetheless presents a compelling case. "They need me," he stated, a claim rooted less in arrogance than in observable fact. Few fighters command his level of mainstream visibility and cultural cachet, an ability to sell a moment that transcends the belt currently around poacher Jan's waist. His proposed path is a savvy 2-step plan: reassert his dominance with a win over the dangerous Song Yadong on January 24th, then ride that wave into a long-awaited, deeply personal grudge match with Jan on the White House stage. It's a storyline built on unfinished business, as their controversial first fight in 2022 still simmers in the minds of fans, offering a ready-made epicenter for the card. O'Malley's pitch cuts to the core of the event's current dilemma. Without the traditional draws of Jones, Pereira, or a fully active Topuria, the UFC must manufacture a headline act from rivalry and resonance rather than pure title lineage. A Jan rematch provides exactly that, a high-stakes, emotion-driven clash between 2 of the division's most recognizable figures, with a built-in controversy that guarantees heat. It represents a shift from hoping for a superstar savior to constructing a star-driven narrative from the available parts. Whether the promotion accepts O'Malley's blueprint remains to be seen, but his analysis underscores a fundamental truth. The White House card is no longer about which dream fights can be made, but about which compelling stories can be salvaged from the wreckage of other plans. In that scramble for relevance, a redemptive arc for Suga Sean, culminating in a fiery revenge bout, might just be the anchor this floating idea desperately needs.
The twilight years of a fighter's career are often a time of reflection, a period where the relentless forward charge gives way to a more measured assessment of paths taken and those left unexplored. For Robert Whittaker, at 35 and coming off 2 tough losses, that reflection has turned toward the mythical training grounds of Dagestan, the source of so much modern MMA dominance. In a recent interview, the Reaper admitted that if he were a younger man, he might have made the pilgrimage to immerse himself in the region's famed, single-minded culture of combat. It's a telling admission, one that speaks to both a deep respect for the Dagestani system and a quiet acknowledgement of the different priorities that define a veteran champion with a family and a life built far from the Caucasus Mountains. Whittaker's praise for the Dagestani fighters cuts to the core of their success. "There's balance, that's what makes them exceptional," he noted, highlighting not just their grinding wrestling, but the holistic, monastic dedication to the craft. That's what makes them special, because they have that single-focused dedication. For a fighter like Whittaker, who has always balanced a fierce competitive drive with a grounded, family-oriented life outside the cage, the idea of sacrificing everything for that kind of singular focus is a road not taken. His "maybe when I was younger" is less a regret and more a recognition of reality, the understanding that such a total immersion requires a life stage he is now past. His journey, built on elite striking, resilience, and a uniquely Australian toughness, has forged a former champion of a different mold. This moment of reflection coincides with another, softer closing of a chapter. In the same conversation, Whittaker revealed that his once fiery rivalry with Israel Adesanya has cooled into mutual respect, even friendship. "I'm really cool with Izzy. I'm happy to break bread with him," he said, putting a definitive end to one of the division's most compelling narratives. It's a symbolic bookend, a sign of a competitor making peace with his past battles as he surveys the road ahead. For Whittaker, the future isn't about reinventing himself in a Dagestani gym. It's about leveraging the wisdom and skill of a long career at the highest level. The young lions of the division may be ascending, but they will have to go through a battle-tested former king who, while perhaps no longer dreaming of distant training camps, remains as dangerous and technically savvy as ever. His path is his own, and his next run will be a testament to the champion he already became, not the one he might have been.
The start of 2026 has delivered a crushing personal blow to one of combat sport's brightest rising stars, as Dakota Ditcheva's highly anticipated return in PFL Dubai has been shattered by injury. The undefeated flyweight phenom, who carved a path of dominance through the PFL to claim the 2024 championship and a $1 million prize, was poised to launch her new campaign with a statement on February 7th against Denise Kielholtz. Instead, she is facing the fighter's cruelest foe, the forced inactivity of the training room. In a raw and emotional statement on Instagram, Ditcheva laid bare her devastation, confessing the news broke her in waves. "I'm truly heartbroken. I cried 2 days straight when I injured myself, then cried again yesterday when it officially got announced," she wrote. For an athlete whose identity and joy are so deeply entwined with competition, the setback is a profound emotional wound, compounded by the frustration of a 2025 that saw her compete only once. Ditcheva's anguish is rooted in more than just a missed booking. It's the sting of momentum halted, of lost time she desperately wanted to reclaim. "Only fighting once last year was a nightmare for me, and I really wanted to make up for lost time," she admitted, highlighting the relentless drive that fuels a champion. Her statement, "I live a great life, but nothing makes me happier than being in that cage," is a powerful testament to the singular passion that has propelled her to a perfect 14-0 record. Yet, in a display of the resilience that defines her career, Ditcheva quickly pivoted from sorrow to acceptance and forward-looking resolve. However, that being said, "I know it just wasn't meant to be," she stated, embracing the brutal, unforeseen logic of the fight game. She assured her fans, the promotion, and her would-be opponent that she is healthy and healing, with a firm promise, "I will be back before you know it." The fallout from this withdrawal now leaves a significant hole in the PFL Dubai card and a question mark over the immediate future of the flyweight division. The promotion must decide whether to seek a short-notice replacement for Kielholtz or to simply postpone what is a compelling matchup between a proven champion and a dangerous veteran until Ditcheva is fully recovered. For Ditcheva, the path is one of patience and precise rehabilitation. The explosive finishing power that became her trademark, the very tool that made her a breakout star and $1 million winner, must now be carefully sheathed as her body mends. Her return will be one of the most anticipated moments in the 2026 season, not just for another potential victory, but for the triumphant resurgence of a fighter whose heart, momentarily broken by circumstance, is undoubtedly still wired for war. Sean Strickland's training camp is less a preparation and more a weekly trial by combat, a relentless search for the hardest possible rounds that blur the line between sparring and outright warfare. His latest Tuesday ritual lived up to that brutal reputation, as he invited one of the most volatile and explosive athletes in the sport, Michelle Pereira, into his personal crucible. The result, captured in a brief, chaotic Instagram clip, was exactly what Strickland both craves and mocks, a hard, punishing session that he himself branded a fight. Laughing in the aftermath, with the adrenaline still buzzing, Strickland offered his trademark backhanded ode to the Brazilian fighting spirit.
"Brazilians will die for nothing, dude," he chuckled to the camera. "You could put a Cheeto in the ring and they will die for that Cheeto. I mean, I respect these fuckers a lot." It's a statement that perfectly encapsulates the Strickland ethos, a mix of bewildered admiration for unwavering heart and a cynical amusement at the willingness to endure pain for the most trivial of symbolic prizes. This particular sparring choice is a fascinating window into Strickland's mindset as he prepares for his pivotal return against Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez on February 21st. Michel Pereira is the antithesis of a safe, technical partner. He is a whirlwind of spinning attacks, flying knees, and unorthodox movement, a fighter whose entire game is built on creating chaos and capitalizing on the resulting openings. By willingly stepping into that storm, Strickland isn't just working on defense, he's stress testing his own composure and pressure under the most unpredictable conditions imaginable. When the person filming noted, "Everyone is trying to kill you today," Strickland's reply was simple and telling: "I need it." For a fighter whose own style can sometimes be criticized as a high-volume, pressure-based grind, these rounds with Pereira are a deliberate injection of anarchic energy, a way to ensure his reactions stay sharp against the unexpected. The session also highlights the stark contrast in the challenges ahead. Hernandez, while tough and relentless, represents a more conventional, wrestling-heavy threat. By sparring with the wild, striking-centric Pereira, Strickland may be intentionally overshooting the mark, sharpening his tools against a more extreme version of a stand-up threat to make Hernandez's approach feel more manageable. Or perhaps it's simpler than that. Perhaps for Sean Strickland, true preparation cannot be simulated. It must be felt in the thud of a knee to the body, in the slip of a spinning back fist, in the shared unspoken agreement between two professionals to bring a fight-level intensity to a Tuesday afternoon. It's a dangerous game, one that risks injury and fatigue, but for Strickland, it's the only game that makes sense. As he captioned the video, pointing toward his fight date, "It wouldn't be Tuesday if a Brazilian wasn't trying to shorten my life." For him, that near-death experience is just another part of the job description.
The relationship between Dana White's wallet and the fighter's desire for a bonus has become a complex and often contentious drama, a push and pull where moments of unprecedented generosity have led to months of regret and a firm vow never to be pressured again. The saga reached its zenith at the historic UFC 300 last April, where White, in a celebratory mood, promised a staggering $300,000 bonus to every fighter who secured a finish. It was a monumental gesture, a fitting prize for a milestone event. But the card delivered beyond all expectations, producing a slew of spectacular finishes that forced White to hand out over $2.5 million in extra cash. Jiri pocketed $300,000 for his win, while Max Holloway walked away with an astonishing $600,000 for his legendary knockout of Justin Gaethje, which earned both fight and performance of the night. Other finishers, though not officially announced, also reportedly received the hefty sum. This act of largesse, while creating an unforgettable night, set a dangerous precedent in the fighters' minds, subtly shifting the expectation of what a bonus could be. That shift came back to haunt White just a few months later. At UFC 304, veteran Bobby Green publicly pressured the UFC boss during fight week to raise the standard bonus from $50,000 to $100,000. White, perhaps feeling the weight of the UFC 300 precedent, relented. The result was a cruel irony. The increased financial incentive produced one of the most lackluster cards of the year, with only 5 finishes across 14 fights. A seething White stood at the post-fight press conference and made a promise to himself and the media. "Upping them doesn't change anything," he stated bluntly. "It doesn't make anybody fight any harder. I'm not doing this again. Ever. Today was the last day that I'm doing that. You can thank everyone on this card for that." It was a moment of raw frustration, a leader vowing never to let public pressure dictate his financial incentives again, believing the heart of a fighter cannot be bought on a whim. Yet, the story may still have a twist. Despite his firm stance, the tectonic financial shift of the UFC's new $7.7 billion broadcast deal with Paramount Plus looms over everything.
White himself has hinted that this historic influx of revenue could lead to a permanent structural increase in fighter bonuses in 2026, not as a reactionary measure, but as a calculated business decision to share the prosperity. This presents the ultimate dichotomy in White's philosophy, the impulsive, event-specific generosity that he feels burned him versus a cold, strategic investment in the talent roster as part of a new corporate era. The fighters who felt the sting of his post-UFC 304 rant may yet see their paydays rise, not because of a microphone shot during fight week, but because of the quiet, monumental math of a multi-billion-dollar partnership. The bonus, it seems, will forever be a tug-of-war between the UFC boss's defiant autonomy and the irresistible economics of a growing empire. The image of a reigning UFC champion, Ilia Topuria, laughing and singing in a car with fellow elite fighter Merab Dvalishvili should be a harmless snapshot of camaraderie. But in the context of a lightweight division frozen in place, a title held hostage, and a champion on an indefinite hiatus, the viral clip has become a lightning rod for frustration, crystallizing a growing sentiment that sympathy has its limits. Topuria has been clear and public about the severe personal struggles keeping him from the octagon, a separation and what he describes as extortion attempts, all centered on protecting his children. He has stated he will not return before mid-2026 and has asked for privacy. Yet for a segment of the fan base and commentators, the sight of any public enjoyment, however brief, clashes with the gravity of a championship stall, creating a perception problem that is quickly eroding patience. The online reaction was swift and pointed, cutting through any nuance. Comments like, "He's chilling with the title, strip him," at Dana White, and sarcastic jabs about fixing personal problems flooded social media, reflecting an impatience that is less about cruelty and more about the sport's relentless forward-moving clock. The division has already created an interim title fight between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett for UFC 324, but that move has only heightened the sense that Topuria's undisputed belt is in limbo. Fans weaponized the moment to renew calls for the fight everyone still wants to see, peppering the post with demands like, "Fight Arman already," a nod to the simmering, unresolved tension with top contender Arman Tsarukyan. The clip, intended or not, became proof of life for a champion who has chosen to step away from his professional duties, making the professional consequences feel all the more immediate. This public relations stumble plays directly into a procedural argument already being made by voices like Chael Sonnen. The American gangster has drawn a clear line in the sand, arguing that while injuries or illnesses warrant interim titles, a personal absence, no matter how justified, does not. The moment Ilia informs us that he is missing matches for anything outside of illness or injury, that's when you strip him, Sonnen stated, framing it not as a desire, but as a necessary precedent. He expressed sympathy for Topuria's plight, but emphasized that pity cannot paralyze a weight class. The video, for its critics, visually underscores this argument. If a champion is well enough to be out and about, even during a personal crisis, the sport's business cannot wait indefinitely. The divide in reactions is stark. Many fans saw only a beautiful moment of friendship between two GOATs, a human respite from the grind. But for others, it was a jarring reminder of the championship belt sitting idle. Topuria is undoubtedly navigating a genuine and painful personal ordeal, deserving of space and understanding. However, the UFC ecosystem operates on a different set of rules, where visibility is currency and inactivity is the ultimate sin. This incident has sharpened a difficult question for Dana White and the promotion. How long can empathy for a champion's private life outweigh the functional needs of the sport? The singing may have stopped, but the echoing debate about legacy, responsibility, and the true price of a title has only grown louder.
The air in the MMA world is buzzing with a tantalizing new possibility, one that carries the potential for historic violence, and it has captured the full attention of Joe Rogan. The source of the excitement is none other than Alex Pereira, the two-time light heavyweight champion whose ambitions have grown larger than the division he currently rules. After reclaiming his 205-pound crown from Magomed Ankalaev, Poatan didn't look to the queue of hungry contenders like Carlos Ulberg. Instead, he immediately set his sights on the heavyweight division, chasing the immortality of becoming the UFC's first three-division champion. His original, almost mythical target was the legendary Jon Jones in a White House spectacle, but with that dream seemingly dashed by logistical and promotional hurdles, the focus has shifted to a different, yet equally fascinating French puzzle: Ciryl Gane. Rogan, on his influential podcast, confirmed that the whispers circulating within the industry have reached his ears. There's a lot of chatter about him perhaps even fighting Ciryl Gane, he revealed, lending significant credibility to the speculative matchmaking. He framed the move as perfectly logical, noting Pereira walks around at a hulking 240 pounds and possesses a weapon that transcends weight classes. Make no mistake about it, that guy can knock out heavyweights, no doubt about it. He hits harder than anyone they've ever recorded, Rogan stated, referencing the famed power metrics from Pereira's kickboxing days. The potential context for such a fight adds another layer of intrigue. With reigning heavyweight king Tom Aspinall sidelined due to eye damage suffered from a Gane poke, the promotion could look to create an interim title. A Pereira versus Gane bout for that belt is a narrative goldmine, a striker's paradise that pits the most feared one-shot knockout artist in the sport against perhaps its most fluid, technical, and mobile heavyweight. The stylistic clash is a fan's dream and a matchmaker's fantasy. Pereira's path is clear, but perilous. He must navigate the significant size, reach, and athleticism of Gane to land his fight-ending left hook or crushing knee. One clean connection could rewrite history. For Gane, the challenge is to utilize his masterful footwork, jab, and diverse kicking game to maintain distance and pepper Pereira, avoiding the dreaded pocket exchange at all costs. It's a classic bull versus matador dynamic, but with the highest possible stakes attached. While Pereira's original vision of dethroning Jon Jones on our national stage may be on hold, this alternative path offers a different kind of glory. A victory over Gane for an interim belt would not only cement his status as the most dangerous man in the sport, but would set up a monumental unification clash with Tom Aspinall, a fight that would crown an undisputed champion and a true Triple Crown king. The chatter Rogan hears is more than just rumor. It's the sound of a legacy being actively forged, one potentially fight-ending blow at a time. The heavyweight landscape of the UFC nearly witnessed a seismic crossover clash, one that would have pitted the raw, earth-shaking power of the Octagon's most prolific knockout artist against the refined, technical mastery of the kickboxing world's reigning king. According to Derek Lewis himself, the promotion had a spectacular plan in the works for its Paramount Plus debut, The Black Beast versus Rico Verhoeven, the legendary Glory champion. Lewis revealed on his podcast that after his 30-second demolition of Talison Teixeira in July, UFC matchmakers urged patience, promising a big fight for the January card. That big fight, he says, was Verhoeven. They were talking about some dude from Glory Kickboxing, the champion, Verhoeven. It was supposed to be against him, then he turned the fight down. This revelation adds a fascinating layer of what could have been to the already loaded UFC 324, a missed opportunity for a stylistic collision that would have captivated combat sports purists and casual fans alike. The matchup was a promoter's dream on paper. In one corner, Derek Lewis, the UFC's all-time knockout leader, a fighter whose entire philosophy is built around the singular, fight-altering power in his fists. His recent two-fight streak,
punctuated by violent finishes, proved that at 39 years old, that power remains as potent as ever. In the other corner would have stood Rico Verhoeven, a 36-year-old phenom, widely considered the greatest heavyweight kickboxer of his generation. Having just vacated his glory title after a historic reign, Verhoeven is openly exploring new challenges in boxing and MMA, making a high-profile UFC debut against a name like Lewis the perfect launchpad. The clash of disciplines would have been stark. Lewis's haymaker-seeking brawling against Verhoeven's piston-like jab, crushing low kicks, and technically pristine combinations. It was a fight that promised either a Lewis hook ending a legendary kickboxing career in an instant, or a Verhoeven clinic demonstrating the gap between elite striking sports. With Verhoeven out of the picture, the UFC pivoted to a compelling, if more conventional heavyweight battle. Lewis will now face the surging Waldo Cortez Acosta, a fighter riding a 5-fight win streak who represents the new guard looking to make a name off a legend. Salsa Boy brings a well-rounded, pressure-heavy style that will test Lewis's conditioning and takedown defense. Lewis, for his part, is characteristically unfazed by the opponent's switch. After pitches for a revenge bout against Sergey Pavlovich also fell through, he simply accepted the challenge in front of him. Then the Dominican dude, he accepted the fight, so I said, let's get it, Lewis stated with typical nonchalance. While the Verhoeven dream fight may be shelved for now, the spectacle Lewis provides is never diminished. On January 24th, he steps into the T-Mobile Arena with the same goal he's always had, to add one more devastating highlight to his record-breaking reel of knockouts, reminding everyone why he remains one of the most must-see attractions in the sport, even when the super fight slips away.
A seismic wave has just crashed through the combat sports world as reigning UFC welterweight champion Islam Makhachev has made a monumental announcement to Russian media. His training camp has officially begun for a legacy-defining super fight against former longtime champion Kamaru Usman, targeted for UFC 327 in Dubai. This is the clash fans have dreamed of and debated for years, a true champion versus former champion megafight that pits the stifling Sambo-based mastery of Makhachev against the historic wrestling-dominant reign of the Nigerian Nightmare. After moving up and capturing the 170-pound crown from Jack Della Maddalena, Makhachev is not content with a conventional defense. He is chasing greatness by aiming to dismantle the very man who ruled the division with an iron fist for years. Usman, a fighter forever etched in welterweight history, has been vocal about his desire to reclaim the throne, and now he gets his chance against the most daunting possible version of the new king. This is more than a title fight. It is a collision of eras, a stylistic puzzle of the highest order, and the kind of marquee event that makes UFC's event in UFC 327 an instant historic occasion. Adding a layer of surreal and captivating spectacle to an already stacked card, the viral sensation and musical artist John Pork is confirmed for a showdown on the same night against the surging, violent force of Manuel Torres. This booking is a bold and unpredictable stroke, placing the internet's most beloved porcine crooner directly in the path of a dangerous, knockout-hungry UFC lightweight prospect. Torres, known for his ferocious power and aggressive style, represents the ultimate reality check for the crossover phenomenon. The matchup defies all conventional logic, ensuring a frenetic and global spotlight that will draw eyes from every corner of pop culture and hardcore fandom alike. It is a spectacle within a spectacle, promising either a shocking moment of viral glory or a brutal reminder of the sport's uncompromising nature. Together, these announcements transform UFC 327 into a landmark event of unprecedented scope. In the main event, the purity of elite martial arts competition reaches its zenith as Makhachev and Usman battle for welterweight supremacy and a permanent place in the pantheon of all-time greats. On the very same card, the modern age of entertainment and combat sports intersect in the most audacious way imaginable with the John Pork experiment.
from the highest-stakes championship clash to the most viral curiosity the Octagon has ever seen, UFC 327 in The rocket-fueled ascent of Paddy Pimblett through the UFC's lightweight ranks has never been a subtle affair. A blend of undeniable charisma, improving skill, and the promotional machinery operating at full tilt. Now, with an interim title shot against the legendary Gaethje at UFC 324, that ascent has reached its most critical and controversial juncture, drawing skepticism from seasoned veterans who view the scramble for gold through a more cynical lens. Former UFC champion Luke Rockhold has become a vocal critic of this specific push, articulating a sentiment shared by a faction of fans and purists that the interim title, in this context, feels less like a sporting necessity and more like a strategic vehicle engineered for the baddie's stardom. In a candid interview with Submission Radio, Rockhold pulled no punches, framing the upcoming main event as a transparent attempt by the UFC to fast-track Pimblett into championship relevance. "I think they're trying to do anything they can to put little Paddy into a title situation," Rockhold stated, his words highlighting the perceived artificiality of the stakes. His criticism zeroes in on the inherent paradox of an interim belt, especially when the undisputed champion, Ilia Topuria, is sidelined for personal reasons rather than competitive ones. Rockhold points to Gaethje's own veteran perspective as evidence, noting he knows that none of that really means much to him because he wants to be the real champion. This draws a sharp contrast with Pimblett's embrace of the championship narrative, a narrative Rockhold implies is prefabricated. They're doing anything they can to get Paddy the best matchups to be a champion and bring that love back to the UK, he concluded, framing the fight less as a meritocratic contest and more as a business decision aimed at cultivating a regional hero. This critique lands in the complex space between sporting integrity and entertainment economics. There's no denying Pimblett's draw. His connection with the UK fanbase is electric, and his fights consistently deliver drama. His skills have visibly evolved, transforming him from a pure prospect into a legitimate threat. However, the leap from entertaining contender to interim title challenger, bypassing other established names in a stacked division, naturally raises eyebrows. It creates a compelling drama of its own, the beloved, polarizing star being handed an opportunity that seems, to some, disproportionate to his resume, against a battle-hardened warrior in Gaethje, who represents the ultimate gatekeeper of legitimacy. Rockhold's comments underscore a deeper tension in modern MMA. The interim title, once a tool for divisions log-jammed by injury, has increasingly become a promotional device to create parallel storylines in main events. In this case, it serves a dual purpose. It keeps the lightweight division moving in Topuria's absence, and it places Pimblett in the highest profile possible scenario to either cement his status as a true elite fighter or to expose his rise as premature. For Gaethje, it's another chance to add a tangible belt to his incredible legacy, even if he, as Rockhold suggests, likely views it as a stepping stone back to the undisputed crown. For Pimblett, it is the ultimate validation and the moment to silence critics like Rockhold by doing the unthinkable. The fight, therefore, is layered with more than just championship implications. It is a referendum on merit versus marketability, on whether the best matchups can indeed forge a real champion, and on whether the relentless noise surrounding the baddie can survive the brutal, honest silence that Gaethje is always so determined to bring. The surprise surrounding Rinat Fakhretdinov's UFC exit continues to ripple through the MMA world, a puzzling move made all the more intriguing by the fighter's own cryptic comments. He wasn't fired, he clarifies. His contract simply reached its natural conclusion, and the promotion chose not to renew it. For a fighter riding a staggering 23-fight unbeaten streak and coming off a blistering 54-second TKO victory, that alone is unusual enough.
But Fakhretdinov layers on the mystery, hinting at certain reasons and small nuances he won't divulge publicly, suggesting the decision was laced with backstage factors beyond just win-loss columns. He even offers a tantalizing, slightly pointed remark that he would have caused problems to some people there, a statement that fuels speculation about whether his relentless, wrestling-heavy style and steady climb up the rankings became an inconvenient puzzle for the UFC's matchmaking or promotional plans. Despite the abrupt end, there's no sense of panic or uncertainty emanating from Fakhretdinov's camp. If anything, his tone is one of calm confidence, almost liberation. He states plainly that offers from other major promotions are already pouring in, with a wide range of financial terms on the table. His follow-up, that he's not in this sport for money, is a fascinating footnote, suggesting his next move will be calculated not just by the largest number, but by the right competitive landscape and the respect he feels he deserves. For a 34-year-old in his physical prime, holding an immaculate professional record and a skill set that can stifle almost anyone, the options are plentiful and compelling. Organizations like the PFL with its seasonal format and $1 million prize, or Bellator in one championship, which have built thriving divisions around elite grapplers, would undoubtedly see him as an instant title contender in a major acquisition. The legacy of his UFC run is one of quiet, consistent dominance, even if it didn't always set pay-per-view records. A 6-0-1 record in the world's toughest promotion is nothing to scoff at, highlighted by that lightning-quick submission of a seasoned veteran like Kevin Lee. His style, built on an oppressive wrestling base, may not have always generated viral knockout clips every time out, but it was ruthlessly effective, leaving a trail of frustrated opponents in its wake. His departure leaves a curious what-if hanging over the welterweight division, the ghost of a problem that was just beginning to take shape for the top 10. Now that problem is someone else's opportunity. As the buzz grows around his next signing, the focus shifts from why the UFC let him go to where he will land, and more importantly, which champion or top contender in another promotion will have to solve the grueling technical riddle that is Rinat Fakhretdinov. The Octagon's loss is poised to become another stage's gain, and the next chapter of his unbeaten career promises to be just as compelling as the last. The stage is set for a collision of chaos and consequence as the UFC's new era on Paramount Plus prepares to launch with a bang. At the center of it all stands Paddy Pimblett on the cusp of the ultimate opportunity, staring across the cage at a human hurricane named Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight championship at UFC 324. The narrative threads are thick with intrigue. The youthful, surging star against the battle-scarred veteran, the charismatic Scouser against the beloved brawler, and a potential blueprint for victory that was recently demonstrated in a chillingly casual manner. While training alongside former welterweight king Kamaru Usman, Gaethje found himself on the receiving end of a stark reminder of his perceived Achilles heel. After watching a training partner attempt an arm triangle choke, Usman confidently declared, "I would 100% finish you there," and promptly did just that, forcing the tap. That moment, captured in a vlog and now echoing across the MMA landscape, hangs over this fight like a prophecy. Gaethje has been submitted in 2 of his 3 UFC title fights by Khabib Nurmagomedov and Charles Oliveira, making the path for a grappler like Pimblett, who owns 10 career submissions, seem glaringly obvious. Yet, the baddie is defiantly rejecting that script. In a move designed to amplify the shock value, Pimblett is publicly vowing to abandon the grappling-heavy approach many assume is his key to victory. Instead, he promises to march into the fire and meet Gaethje in his own domain. "Everyone's going to be shocked, to be honest, because I think I'm going to knock him out," Pimblett declared, dismissing the notion that he will simply try to wrestle. "I'm going to come out and I'm going to put it on him."
This is the audacious confidence that has fueled his rocket ship rise, a willingness to take the harder path for the more spectacular result. He envisions a repeat of his finish over Michael Chandler, confidently predicting, "I don't see him getting past the third." It's a psychological gambit, an attempt to strip Gaethje of one layer of preparation and plant a seed of striking doubt in a man known for his otherworldly power. The stakes could not be higher, for both the fighters and the promotion itself. For Gaethje, this is perhaps the final, most critical step toward another shot at the undisputed gold that has eluded him. A former interim champion, he carries the weight of near misses and legendary wars into this bout, his every training session under Trevor Wittman aimed at exorcising the demons of past submissions. For Pimblett, it is the chance to validate every ounce of hype, to transform his immense popularity into championship legitimacy on the grandest possible stage, the inaugural main event of a historic $7.7 billion broadcast deal. And for the UFC, launching the Paramount Plus partnership with a fight of this volatile nature is a statement of intent, a guarantee of the kind of high-stakes drama that drives the business. The question is no longer just about who will win, but about which version of the fight will materialize. Will it be the grappling chess match where Pimblett hunts for the choke that Usman so easily found? Or will it be the stand-up war of attrition that Pimblett is now promising, a dangerous game of chicken with one of the most violent strikers in the sport's history? On January 24th in Las Vegas, the answer will arrive, defining a champion and launching a new chapter for the UFC itself.